Hello and welcome to Gardening at 58 North. So in this video I'd like to give you guys an update on my balcony. I've not done a balcony update for a long time. It's well overdue. And the reason I haven't done the balcony for ages is because I've just started up my own business and I'm very busy with that at the moment, so I haven't had much time to get the balcony done, but I've had a free afternoon, so I've completely cleared it out. You can see I've given it a good brush as well. Probably needs a mop at some point, to be honest. It's quite messy. So these are all the plants that I've taken out. You can see there's quite a lot. I've just put them on the carpet, on the back of my rug for now, just to keep them off the carpet, keep them out of the way of the balcony as I'm trying to clear it out. Now I want it nice and empty just so I can sweep everything away, because as I say, there was so much stuff in the balcony it was hard to clean. So these are all the plants I had there already. You see quite a selection. I think most of these have cropped up in the video at some point or other. You can see they're all in various stages. Some things are looking good, some things aren't. Like my Cinetti here just finished flowering. Unfortunately this year I haven't had time to deadhead it, so you can see they're covered in deadheads, no new flowers. If I had kept deadheading that, there'd probably be quite a few flowers still continuing, but as I say, I've just been too busy this year to really keep on top of the balcony. I've kept on top of my houseplants. You can see they're all looking good, like my frangipani and my streptocarpus down there. Houseplants are still looking good. They're my main priority, to be honest, is my houseplants, but as I say, the balcony has been a bit neglected, but I'm dealing with it now. So these are all the plants that I have to get put back on the balcony, and I've also got some new plants which I bought the other day, and they're bedding plants. You can see them down there. So I've got trailing lobelia down here. I've got Nemesia. This is a really nice one. This is called Wisley Vanilla, and the flowers really do smell like vanilla. That's quite a nice one, that one. You can see that's what the flowers are like there. They're not normally individual, they're normally little like sprays, so you can see there's a lot of buds coming on that one. It's not like a good bunch of flowers. It looks more like the picture. So I've also got African marigolds. Not tried them on the balcony. They're probably a bit big for my balcony, but we'll see how they do. They're looking like nice healthy plants. They always get quite large. And I've also got some petunias as well. I think these are probably trading ones. I'm not entirely sure, but we'll see when they grow. So the idea is I've got two troughs. This one has some chrysanthemums from the winter. Didn't put anything in it for spring, and it's just kind of empty now, so that needs planting up. I'll probably put my verbena in here. I've got trailing verbena that I got from Gardening Scotland. I think I did a video of them previously. Over here is my old spring planter. So this is, for the last 2 years I've had this planted up with spring bulbs. You can see here there's loads of crocus bulbs. I've also got daffodils and a few tulip bulbs as well. So this has been doing quite well the last couple of years, but because there are so many plants crammed in so tight, they really need some more space. And what's been happening is every year the bulbs have been getting smaller and smaller, and now they're at a stage where they're so small that next year they won't have enough energy to flower. They'll just put out leaves and they won't do much. So what I'll do with these bulbs is I'll plant them in the garden, give them more space. They should get more energy, build up enough for flowering for the next couple of years. But as I say, you can't intensively grow them in a tub for too long because they'll just weaken eventually. But it works really good for instant display, and I'll show you a picture now of how good the display was the last couple of years. My other ones are these tubs down here. So these tubs, there's two of them. They go on the balcony. They normally go up here on the balcony and over here. And I'll show you a picture of how they were looking just a few weeks ago. So they were looking really good. Those tubs were planted up with antirrhinums and an osteospermum. The osteospermum is actually about 3 years old now. As you can see from the pictures, they've got really too big. They need to go somewhere else. So they put them in somebody's garden. And I'll be planting these up with lobelia at the front, which will trail over nicely over the wall, look quite nice. At the back I'm going to put 3 African marigolds in each one, and they should grow up nice and tall. So I've got a good display, probably 2 or 3 foot from the bottom of the trailing lobelia to the top of the African marigolds. So I think that's it for now. So what I will do is I'll start potting them up, and then once all the planters are potted up, I'll then have to rearrange all my plants, figure out where they're going to go. I do have a nice bamboo 3-tier staging here, so I can put some plants on. That'll help save space. I think in the future what would be good is, because the right hand side of my balcony here gets a lot of light, as does the far end, it'd be good to get some shelving there so get some extra plants. The left hand side here doesn't really get any light because that's the north facing wall. The sun comes from this direction first thing in the morning, and this way at midday, and then after midday it's behind the building, so you can't see it anymore. The sun doesn't get onto the balcony after midday. Plus you've got balconies above me as well, so you can see the sun when it's right overhead doesn't get through. But apart from that, it's quite sunny, as I say, on the right hand side here, and then also at the back. So maybe sometime we get shelving, but for now this was just what I'll have to make do with. Good sunny windowsills here for the planters, and then I've got those hanging planters for the railings. So here are my 2 planters. I've already filled them up ready for planting. So last year I put, I do normally mix perlite in with my compost mixes, but last year I mixed it into one of these and one of these. I had training lobelia in that, and both seem to grow just as well. So I'm not going to bother with the perlite this time in these planters because it didn't seem to give any advantage. Maybe I had to water a bit extra because there wasn't as much water holding capacity with the perlite. So I think just for a season like this one, I don't think I really need perlite. So I'm just going to do without perlite. I'm also not going to put any feed in this because I mean, there's already quite a lot of feed in this rich multi-purpose compost, and I've got a lot of liquid feed, so I'll be regularly feeding these plants with liquid feed to keep them growing. So first of all, I've got my African marigolds. Not sure what colour they're going to be. It should be a mixture of oranges and yellows. So I'll just pop them out of their bedding trays. I've got 7 plants. You can see this one's got 2 in the one cell, so that makes 7 plants in this whole tub. But I'll still plant that double one just as a single plant. So the idea is I'm going to put these along the back of the planter, and then along the front of the planter will be the lobelia. So the lobelia trail down and over the front of the planter, and these grow along the back. Next, there's no polystyrene in them. So there we are, 3 in the back. Same with this one. And then once these are planted up, I can do my lobelia for the front. So I'll quickly just add one thing about these planters. They are made to hang over a railing, and because of that you can see there's a gap in the middle of them, and because of that you've got a lot of compost down this side, a lot of compost on that side, and really nothing in the middle. You can see here just a few centimetres, and then that's the plastic showing. So when I'm planting up these planters, I always have to keep that in mind. So it's basically like having 2 pots really, even though it looks like 1 pot. So that means I have to plant everything on this side or that side, and I can't plant anything in the middle. So say if I wanted to have a nice big specimen plant, you can't be planted in the middle, it has to be planted on one of the sides. So that's often why I go with this design for my planters. Also because having tall plants at the back, they'll grow up, look really nice. They won't smother the front ones because the front ones will go forward into the light and hang down. And it just seems to do a nice mix. As I say, the lobelia will hang down maybe double or 3 times the height of this pot. This will grow up maybe 2 or 3 times the height of the pot, and that will just give me a good metre or so of display, so it works out really well. So next I've got some nice trailing dark lobelia. This did really well for me last year. In fact, some of it even survived the winter. It's very unusual for lobelia to survive frost, but last winter was very mild, so some of it did survive. Most of it died though. But yeah, I was also surprised at how well it flowered into autumn. This stuff really flowered well. Even in November it was still flowering, and then eventually when the frost came, frost killed most of the plants off, but as I say, 1 or 2 did survive. So I don't need too many of these. As you can see, there's I think 12 in a pack, so you get a lot. I'll probably put 4 at the front of each one, and that will leave me with quite a bit of lobelia for some other planters that I'm going to plant up at some later point. So I'll just put those 4 out in each one, and as I say, that leaves me with another 4 for another planter. There we are, that's them planted up. They won't look like much for a while because it'll take a while for these to grow, but it's June now, so the weather's quite warm. They should grow quite quick with the long daylight lengths. And I'll give you guys an update in maybe a couple of months when they're flowering. They should look really good by the end of summer anyway. So here's my other planter. This one I'm just going to plant up 3 verbena basically. These are the ones from Gardening Scotland. And interesting enough, if you remember from my previous video, I said that these had a nice red bit in the middle. Yeah, it wasn't showing on the flower. Well, they've started to show that quite nicely now. It's not showing up so well in the camera, but the middle is quite a bit redder than the purple on the edge. A bit more like on the picture. So plant these up, just kind of evenly spaced. I think they should fill this tub quite nicely. And what these should do is they should trail down, and they'll lean forwards towards the light, which will probably be this direction when it's on the wall, and that'll, as they lean forward, they'll flop down, and that'll make a nice trailing pattern on them. So I'll just pop these in now. There we are, that's them potted up. All I need to do now is deadhead them. As you can see, there's a few dead heads on them. There's a few aphids. I'm not too worried about that at the moment, but as I say, I'll deadhead them. Should encourage them to put on a lot more growth, a lot more new flowers, and I'll start feeding them soon as well, because these are probably quite hungry. They're in that small pot, and I'll quickly use up the feed that's in this compost. So I'll go on the balcony now, on the windowsill, give you an update on these in a few months' time. They should look really good, hopefully. So this is the old trough that I used to have the spring bulbs in. This is just going to have mixed petunias planted in it. Should look really nice. These again, I'm not too sure if these are trailing. I'll just double check. Don't think these are trailing variety, but I'm sure by the end of the summer these will get so tall that they will kind of almost be trailing. I've had them petunias growing on the balcony in the past, had mixed results. What tends to happen is they grow really well over June, July, August. Come September, just as they're getting really big, really good display, what seems to happen is they get powdery mildew. Powdery mildew just kind of kills them in September, whereas if I didn't get the powdery mildew, I'm sure these could be flowering into October quite easily. But I'll plant them up, so you get quite a few months of good flowers. So there's 6 and 12 row, hopefully that'll fit. Probably a bit of a tight squeeze in this tub, but it's a good impact. I think a staggered formation like that should look quite nice. There we are, they just need a good watering in now. They should grow really fast now they've got a good bit of compost. They should have at least 2 months of good weather now, because it's end of June, so July, August should give a lot of growth. I'll give you guys an update of these as well in a few months' time, when hopefully they're growing over the pot and starting to trail. So I actually almost forgot about this one. This was actually on my drain pipe on the edge of my balcony. This is the pot which is designed to wrap around a drain pipe and a fixed like so. It even has little stoppers to help it stop it from sliding down the drain pipe, but I found it never worked, kept falling off the drain pipe. I put it on for about 5 times, kept falling off. The plants eventually died because they kept falling from a height of about 1.5 meters, maybe even 2 meters actually. It's quite high up on the pole. And so what I've done is, in the previous video, put a link in the description, cut slits inside it, attached to cable ties. That worked perfectly. It's never fallen down since I've done that. So I'll be using that same method again this year. So what I'm planting this year in it is a Nemesia. I'm a bit dubious as to whether it will survive too well, because it is quite an exposed position. It's definitely the windiest part of the balcony. Nemesia don't like it too exposed. But the reason I want to put this in there is that when I open the door to my balcony, this thing's at head height for me, and Nemesia Whizzleaf vanilla variety has a really good vanilla smell. So whenever I go in the balcony in the summer, I should get this lovely smell from this plant. So that's why this one's going in this pot. There we are, this should completely fill up the pot over the summer. It can survive a little bit of frost, so we'll see. It might survive the winter, but as I say, I think being in such a windy exposed position, this is going to get quite damaged. What I might actually do is, what I might do now actually, just because it's not been in a windy position before, been in a nursery, I'm going to cut back all these long stems, because they will cause it to walk around in the wind and get damaged. And when the new stems grow, because they're in the constant wind, they should thicken up and they should be quite stocky and sturdy. So I'm reducing the plant a bit, but this will encourage it to bush a lot more, which will create hopefully more flowers in the future. And as I say, this will mean that there's shorter, stockier stems, and hopefully it doesn't get damaged by the wind. So there we are, that's all the planters planted up. So as you can see here, this is my verbena one sitting on the windowsill, should do quite nice there. It's a good sunny position. I've also got my petunias up here, and these will grow over the edge a bit. They just say they're not trailing, so I'm not expecting them to trail really far, but at least a little bit. I've had ones before that weren't trailing and they grew up and fell over and kind of became like trailing petunias. Over here, got my other 2 balcony planters. They look quite small at the moment, but I'm sure these will fill right out and the plants will be touching each other by the end of summer. They were last time. The last lot I had with the osteospermums, they were growing right out to this wall here and covering right up to here. The antirrhinums were also covering right out to there, so this whole top should be completely bushy and full with plants later on. Bit worried about the wind. You can see it's quite breezy today and these are really swaying around. May have to buy some more of these and replace them if the wind kills off these first lot, but hopefully they'll be okay. So all I have to do now is rearrange the rest of my plants that I've got. can see plenty of them to put out. I've also got a few bags of compost and a few old pots that I need to put outside because there's not really space in the flat, and to be honest they're too messy and dirty thing, so I don't really want to put them in the flat. So that's what I'll do now, try and get them all organised, make the most of the space. I've got that 3-tiered thing, so I'll probably put it towards the end. Try and put as many plants as I can on the right, because that's where the most light is. As I say, would be nice to get some shelving at some point. Maybe put the compost at the front, but I want to have a little bit of space because it'll be still nice to be able to put the seat out and actually use the balcony, because to be honest I very rarely get to use the balcony, neither does my girlfriend, because I have so many plants in the balcony, there's just no space for people. But hopefully this year I might get a bit more space. So there we are, that's everything back on the balcony. As you can see, I've got so much more space this time. I've really made a lot of use of that 3-tier bamboo stand over there. That's really made a lot more space, and also the using the chairs over there has made more space as well. Have to be a bit careful with that, because that will probably mean that I won't use the chairs this much this summer. So I might actually take 1 or 2 chairs and stack and just keep 1 or 2 permanently here, so I can use them and not have to keep taking the plants off before I use them. As you can see, that's the tops all planted up, looking quite nice. Got a good selection of plants up here. This little collection of plants, these are actually all plants which I'm going to put somewhere else. Cinetti, going to cut that back, might go somewhere else. All flowers, certainly going in somebody else's garden. These Swedish ivy, I don't know if I really want to keep it. I'll have other ones in the house, so I don't need it. Mint plant's not been doing very well. I left it in the corner, kind of forgot about it, so that needs to go somewhere else. And also these bedding plants will be going to another tub. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to plant a giant sunflower in this big tub here, and I'm going to put, or possibly that red tub up there, and I'm going to put these at the base and a giant sunflower at the top, so hopefully the bedding plants will trail down that top and cover the top, because the top's quite ugly, and have the nice sunflower coming out the top. You can see everything there, it's worked quite well I think. What I'd really like is to have some kind of shelving up here to have more plants up here, but I'll just have to look for some kind of stand. It would be really good to have a stand like this, but just a lot wider. That would mean I could store my compost here, could also store my pots, and then my plants on top, and that would work ideal. So I'll be looking out for one of them, see if I can get that. But as you can see, that's the same number of plants, but just so much more space. I might show you before and after photo. Before photo is absolutely horrendous, the worst I've ever seen my balcony. But as you can see, the after result's much better. So all that's left to do really is to mop the balcony. You can see it's really quite grubby, it needs a good mop. But otherwise I think that's it. So I'll give you guys an update in a few probably about a month's time actually, and hopefully I'll have a lot more flowers by then.